We've got our youth group here tonight, so youth group, we're happy. You don't have to keep the children in the dark. You guys can turn the lights on for them back there if you want to. And so I think they were trying to be very, very hospitable to us. This is where they normally meet, and they gave us all the tables, and they went to the corner in the dark. So thank you, youth group, for making room for everybody, letting us be in your space. I'm excited. Tonight we're doing these a little bit differently. We are not going to do our normal prayer request time. We're going to just jump right in and hear from Arlen, who is visiting from Brazil. And I'm not going to try and tell you all about what he does, because he's here to tell us about what he does and to encourage us. I want to encourage you to think about questions that you might have, things that you want to know, and also want to make sure that if you don't know how to get in touch with Arlen and in his ministry, that you connect with him tonight, and you can get updates from them, and you can choose to give and support them beyond what the church is doing for the Isaacs, for Raquel, who you'll hear about as well. Okay? I want to go ahead and pray for us, and I'm going to get out of the way and let Arlen address us tonight. Father, thank you. Thank you so much for the many, many people who have been faithful to the call to go wherever it is that you would lead. And I thank you for the Isaac family and the way that you're using them to reach the world in so many different ways from Brazil. And Lord, I pray that you would bless them, and as their family's not all in one spot tonight, I pray that you would watch over them in a special way, that they would be very aware of your love and your presence and your care for them. Give us the ability to listen well to what Arlen has to say, and even more what you have to say through him to us tonight. And we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good evening. Hear me a little better? I don't have the strongest voice in the world, so I'll try and hang out here. I'll walk around some. But it's wonderful to be here. Thank you, Pastor Jesse, for the opportunity, the invite to be able to come share with you guys. And it's a pretty amazing privilege to be like, man, I was here almost a year ago, being able to share, and almost a year before that. What's happened has been a huge privilege. But I know that there is a lot of people who are getting sick of just seeing my face. Showing up at places and people are like, so where's your wife? When's Cynthia coming? When's the family showing up? You know? And so, I know, I'm sorry. Yet again, it's only me. And, well, this time, I am so glad my oldest daughter, our oldest daughter, Nina, if you wave your hand, she was able to come along on this trip and be with us. So I almost want to say, I promise next time I will only show my face if Cynthia is with me. I hope so. For those of you who don't know Cynthia, once you meet her, you'll understand why. Because you're like, okay, nice having Arlen, but where's Cynthia? So here's a picture, a pretty recent picture of our whole family. As, things are happening, things changing. I have 2 kids now who have graduated from high school. Nina, who's our oldest, and then Dorian, you can see there, who's our tallest. They both just graduated from high school. And the reason they just graduated is because when you get below the equator, when your whole seasons flip and they change. Right now, Brazil is finishing up their summer vacation, coming into February. So you got December, January, that's summer vacation. And how would you guys like to have a Christmas tradition? When you think of Christmas, we're like, yes, we get to go spend a week at the beach, sweating, drinking coconut water, and getting burnt by the sun, playing in the waves. And that's like Brazilian Christmas. And it's hard. I've lived there 18 years, and it's still hard at times. It just doesn't register. You know that sentimental feeling, that all those ties with Christmas just doesn't come. Anyways, for that reason, their school year ends in December. I'm sure there's people in the youth group that this would be awesome to have our school year end already in December, right? And start again next August. No, but their school starts in February. So, anyways, all of that just to say, Nina and Dorian graduated. Actually, I have a picture here, also with their cousin, Serena. So they finished up school. Other kiddos are doing good. We're possibly, those who follow the story, as you can see, our little girl there, little Bia, she's just about to turn 6. She's been with us 3 years. And I guess it's now a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, talking with our friend who's a lawyer, getting some more info from the judge to try to finalize her whole adoption case. And there's hope that possibly within 3 months, her adoption could be finalized and finished up, and that would be amazing. Like I said, it's been like 3 years. And Bia still, as I've mentioned, she's so excited to get her passport with her picture in it so that she can come to the United States and visit Papa and Grandma. That would be my parents in this area. She's super excited. Other 2 kids, Karis and Joshua, are doing amazing. And thank you all, too, who've been praying for Cynthia. And she's been struggling still with her health, with myocarditis. After COVID, now it's over 2.5, more than 3 years ago, she developed the condition myocarditis, inflammation of the heart. And God connected us with, it'd be last March, with another doctor who has been excellent. Someone who has studied especially heart conditions post-COVID and has really been helping her in the sense of the treatment, feeling better, stronger. It's been very good, encouraging with the positive results. So she's still on the ups with a few downs. But anyways, that's a little update. A few things of our family, what's happening. Been a lot happening this last year. I'll share some more stuff with the ministry, but it's been wonderful. To see what God is doing, definitely in a transition stage. This next year, my wife and I are going to be leading our youth group at our church too. So we'll be starting in that role, which is going to be very exciting. Very exciting to have our kids along. And oh my, just a second, let me mute that. It's actually Cynthia.
Cynthia's calling to check on you.
Yeah, I don't know if I should answer. So it's going to be exciting, wanting to really invest in our kids and helping them see that just together. What does it look like to make disciples? What does it look like to invest in the lives of others? To be grounded in the Word, grounded in the gospel and in grace. So super excited about that. But one of the things I wanted to share, first, I'll give a little update, some info, some pictures from Raquel. And then I'll be able to share some about what we've been doing with our project we're involved in, called the Tetelestai project. But when I think of these gatherings, there's one verse I'm going to steal from Paul, because I think it also describes very well the moments where we get to come back and connect with the family and the body who has been praying for us, who has been an encouragement to us, who has been supporting what we're doing. And I love what Paul says here in the beginning of Philippians. He says, I thank my God every time I remember you. In all my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. Pause there. Here, Nina. Why don't you take this? I think that really, to me, sums it up so well, because truly what connects us, why some random, well, not too random, why does this guy show up at our Wednesday night, mess with everything? Like, what's going on? Who is this guy? It's because God has united us in a partnership for the gospel. And I know we are, and Raquel, are very thankful when we think of you, when we remember you in our prayers. We do pray with joy because of this partnership, and that's what it is. No one does anything alone. And one aspect of heaven that's going to be awesome is just going to be see even clear the connections. Things we think now are insignificant. Oh, I was just praying for these guys who are in Brazil, or oh, I helped give some money for this, or this program helping Rachel and the kids. But to see so clear how God makes these connections and uses our prayers in the lives that are transformed. People, as I'm going to share a few stories in different countries who are now part of our family, transferred from the dominion of darkness and brought into the kingdom of light because of our partnership. And that's exciting. And that is cool. All of us have different places in it. You partnering with us, we partnering with others. And it's just exciting to see what God is going to do and to fulfill our role in the body. So I hope as you hear some updates, hear stories, please seriously look at it and be like, cool, this is what we're involved in. This is what we are a part of. And we can rejoice together and just see what God is doing. So first I'm going to show a few different pictures, kind of an update to review, a little bit of update from Rachel. Let me see, I think the most important picture I forgot to put in here. Bummer. As you guys know, one of the most important things with Rachel is that she got married at the end of November of this year. So we praise God for a wonderful man. His name is Arlen. He's actually American. And they met online on a Bible study through mutual friends as they were studying the Word together, getting to know each other, starting to be attracted for each other's passion for God, heart for missions. And from there, the relationship continued to develop, deepen, and grow. He visited Brazil for the first time in September of last year, and we drilled him, and we observed him. We had spies, like, everywhere. We would do, like, comparing notes. Hey, how was your time with Alan? Oh, it was good. What about this? Oh, yeah, okay, this. And making sure, like, drilling him with questions. And we're like, let's check this guy out, man. He passed. And it was wonderful. Wonderful at the wedding. Wonderful to meet even his family, his friends. Just encouraged us even more. So he was a wonderful guy. And you can imagine someone coming into a family of already 4 adopted kids, and he loves them. He's someone who's been involved also in missions. He's done a few short-term trips to Papua New Guinea. And so it's very exciting. We'll see how the future is going to develop. They're going to be in Brazil until further notice. They want to come visit the U.S. for a few months, which is going to be so good for Rachel, for the kids. So we're going to see what's going to happen there. But we'll see, future-wise. Hakel said, for now we're going to be in Brazil. Maybe a possibility of going to PNG if God continues to move that door, where Alan has been working, has had a passion of being there more full-time. But all of that is kind of in the we will see. But for right now, continuing strong, our biggest connection with them is they have a project called Other Sheep. It's a connection of after school and various moments during the week, bringing in children, especially from her neighborhood and other places, and providing them really with an education, opportunity to get involved in especially more of the arts, as I'll show you, different areas, and most importantly, bringing them the gospel, a connection we're going to have with them. So over this last year, they're able to connect and share the gospel. Say there's more than 25 different people. They have new teachers. Hey, they even got new fans in their classrooms. They were able to add an acrobatics class. And this is pretty nuts. This guy did like actual schooling for circus training. Like, I didn't even know that existed. Like, it's like, this guy's awesome. And so they bring in and they're doing some different training. And the purpose of that is that this is an entry for gathering attention for sharing the gospel. Being able to go to a different place and you have this presentation happening to attract the people. So it's not merely just for acrobatics and learning a skill. Having that already connected into it is so cool. Different classes with cooking. We had some new different supporters. Working with the children. One thing that was important, I think if you remember last year, I talked about this necessity of having a uniform, wearing something, especially the teachers. Felt like, hey, this is going to give us legitimacy. That's the word. Sorry, when you live in a country for 18 years, I don't speak English very well. I don't speak Portuguese perfectly. And like, honestly, as I'm talking to you, I'm like fighting Portuguese words. Like, no, not that one. I need the English one. So forgive me if I like have to pause for a word like literacy just to remember how to say that. Yeah, sorry. But no, it wasn't even literacy. It was legitimacy. There was the word. Thank you. So people would look at it and be like, oh, this is a real thing. This is something that's legit. So for the kids and for the teachers, a huge answer to prayer is that. They're able to get the uniforms. They're able to actually, here's the more installation of those bars for ballet. I won't demonstrate how to use them. You guys know. We had an amazing presentation this year. There's like a big theater that seats, I don't know, 2,000-3,000 people. That they jointly with another friend of ours who's a believer, she has a whole ballet school, and connecting the kids from this neighborhood have the opportunity to perform. I don't know how full it was, I didn't go, but it was close to probably 1,000 people in the hundreds, and these kids have the opportunity to perform this part of this whole big, massive presentation. Amazing experience for them, for their lives. It's amazing what happened. And just so thankful to be able to celebrate what God has been doing. Coming up, some of the things they want to be working on. As you guys can see here, there's plans to help equip their kitchen better. Possibilities as we have of even adding some morning classes. Most of what happened has been afternoon and there's evening, different opportunities. So hoping to expand. And one of the things I admire about Rachel, or Raquel, is she is very good at like pulling people in and like delegating and like, oh, okay, can you do this? I have a problem personally. I'm like, oh, let me do it. But Raquel's so good. Like, hey, you're good at that. Look, get you there. And I admire that so much, how she has put this whole ministry together. And one of the things you can see here is some new partners, even in the administration of overseeing. She's bringing in some different friends, she was telling me, to help oversee some of the financial. Others helping take care with the teachers and the parents, that whole administrating the flow of who's there. So that's one of the plans in a prayer request. I think also, too, as she prepares to see, hey, what's exactly going to happen? Where's God going to lead us? Here we go. Back to school volunteer events. So they got cleaning happening, fixing happening, and they got some different needs. With more table cleaning supplies, some more chairs, different material for the different classes that you guys can see there. So here's something practical, like Pastor Jesse said. If anything comes up, where the slide, here's some practical needs if you're interested in helping out Rachel. Again, here's an overview of what they're offering. So they've been able to give, of course, the academic support and the literacy, so with the mathematics, helping them out. Learning, man, there's kids who are like 10, 11, 12, who are like learning to read there in this after-school program of the other sheet. When at school, it's been like zero. Cooking, and they got the ballet classes, the acrobatics, and it's been hit and miss as different possibility of different music teachers has been going on. So some prayer requests. One of the things is pray for the health. This, of course, is a big need. With that, the parents of the children, you can read there, see it. It's something that's very on all of our hearts. Because as you begin to invest in people's children and you love on them and they're flourishing, it opens up and touches the parents' hearts. And this is also someone else who God can use to be reaching these parents with the gospel. There's stories, of a little girl who's learning how to read, and one of the things she loves to read is the Bible, and goes home to her mom, who's maybe functionally literate or not. And as she's there, actually reading the Bible to her mother and beginning to reach her. And it's beautiful. And beyond that, just the connection with the different teachers and the adults. So this is a huge prayer request here for the parents of the children. And here, pray for attendance. Praying for more teachers and more supporters. So there's kind of a quick overview. Some of the different things. I am so sorry I don't have the picture of Rachel with Arlen and all the kiddos. She sent a few pictures with Pastor Jesse. Maybe at the end I can find it and I'll put it up. I'll transfer it from my phone real quick just to get it up there for you guys to see. So if you have any questions, write them down. Think about it concerning Raquel or Rachel and her ministry at the end. Love to take those about her work and any of the possibilities there. And I know she always expresses so much how thankful she is. I think a major part of her support, it comes from even this church, comes from you guys and being able to keep the program running, being able to see these children being reached. So as I read, man, thank you. Thank you guys for partnering with Rachel in this way and partnering in the gospel and seeing these lives change. So it's been a huge thing. So thank you guys so much. Next thing I want to do, I didn't even keep track of the hour, okay. The next part of the time, I want to give you guys kind of an update. Remember what we're involved in personally as part of a ministry called Light in Action, or the Tetelestai project. And to do that, what we're going to do, we're going to go through our mission statement. What's the mission statement of the Tetelestai project? From that, I'm going to be explaining some more in detail of what's been happening and sharing some stories of different things that have happened this past year. This is very exciting. But first, I'm going to show you the kind of vision video, we call it, of our ministry, giving you a visual overview of some of the different productions we're involved in, some of our heart, some of our focus.
The Light in Action team came together when a group of young people who were passionate about Christ had the desire to share the gospel with as many people as possible. This passion fueled the creation of our first project, the Tetelestai series. This 11-episode series unfolds the scriptures from the Garden of Eden to the risen Christ in order to tell the eternal story of redemption. Tetelestai has already been dubbed into 14 languages. Our goal is to have Tetelestai available in 40 strategic languages. These will allow us to translate the project into minority languages around the world. However, we have realized that the current version of Tetelestai could cause unnecessary barriers in some regions because of the Western appearance of our hosts. With this in mind, we produced a new version of Tetelestai with a culturally acceptable host whose appearance is more similar to someone from the Middle East or Asia. This new version will allow us to reach into places like India, where partners are eagerly waiting to translate the series into more than 20 languages. We are also filming a version of Tetelestai in Libras, the sign language of Brazil. By filming 2 deaf hosts entirely in sign language, we hope to reach the 5 million people in the Brazilian deaf community. We have already produced 2 short films with new ones underway, each one carefully crafted to target specific unreached cultures. Every new film we create is designed to awaken in our target audience a thirst for knowing God. We develop these films by working closely with missionaries, ministries, and churches who are already on the front lines. Our goal is to produce high-quality films that will open the door for spiritual conversations and ignite a search for the truth. At this moment, there are more than 7,400 unreached people groups in the world. However, it is estimated that the global church contains 3,000 times the necessary manpower and 9,000 times the financial resources needed in order to complete the Great Commission. With this in mind, we are concentrating all of our efforts, time, and resources on reaching the unreached. Contact us to see how you can get involved. Together, we can impact lives around the world by taking the gospel to those who have never heard.
So as you can see from the video, the main way God is utilizing as a core part of our team is actually in the production of videos and helping reach the unreached, using cinema to either open the door for the gospel or explain the gospel to people. And the first part of our whole mission statement is this phrase. It's to take the eternal story of redemption to the nations. That's our mission. That phrase, the eternal story of redemption, it's kind of our fancy phrase for the gospel. The reason we call it the eternal story of redemption is because the core of how we're doing this is through, as you saw in the video, as I've mentioned previously, a series called Tetelestai. Tetelestai is Greek. It's the word that if you read in the Gospel of John, the last thing that Jesus cried out on the cross before he died. In English, it's translated, "It is finished." Or in the Greek, what's written there in John's Gospel is the Tetelestai. And we ask the question, okay, what was finished? What was happening? Why was this guy who claimed to be God, the promised Messiah, why in the world was he being crucified and pinned to a cross by Roman soldiers? What's up? Well, two guys on the road to Emmaus had that same question. And in Luke, in the Gospel of Luke, in chapter 24, Jesus encounters these guys. And it's interesting to see how Jesus explains it to them, explaining why he said Tetelestai. He goes back and he starts, as we call, the eternal story of redemption, telling the gospel story, not from Matthew 1, but from probably Genesis 1, and beginning through key stories, helping these two guys put together, as Jesus said, you're slow to understand and believe all that the prophets have spoken. So helping them understand the gospel. And that's our heart with this series. Oops. Kind of the core of how we take the eternal story of redemption, this panoramic view of the gospel, is through the series called Tetelestai. It's 11 different episodes. I even saw in the hallway out here, still have flyers left over. You guys haven't taken enough flyers? Oh, your whole year's gone by. There's still flyers there, people. So feel free. They're free. Please take one. Check it out. We have an original version that has my wife and I presenting. We, as you saw in the video, completed roughly about 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago, a second version with a guy who's much better looking here in the blue. But other than that he's better looking, one of the reasons, even more important, was the fact of many countries, especially the Middle East and India, they look at somebody like me, and I'm very much look Western, don't I? Yeah. Even living in Brazil hasn't helped. But it's amazing. You get a Brazilian, and they look at him, and I've asked people, where do you think he's from? Oh, depends where they are. Maybe Middle East. Oh, maybe this part of India. Maybe, has a kind of a look that's like generic. And so just taking away a physical appearance barrier opens the door even more for more people to give it a chance and hear what the message is. So that was the main reason behind this series. Between the two of them, we have now Tetelestai is available in over 18 different languages. Some of the most recent have been a language like in India called Punjabi, western part of India. We did Burmese, the main language of Myanmar, a country that is just still being devastated by so much civil war. We've done Bengali, a language that could be the opposite side of India, East India. And one other language we're just finishing up with this new version is called Hausa. It's a very key language for West Africa. Over 40 to 50 million speakers, and most of them are Muslim people groups speaking Hausa. And I just had a phone call this week with one of our main friends there. And very excited as we begin to talk in the plans, okay, how can we equip believers who are there? There are churches in that area. There are believers. How can we partner with what you're doing? How can we be working, equipping them to be reaching out also with the gospel and making a tool available in their language? Another production and making the eternal story of redemption known is still going on, as we saw in the video, this version for Brazilian Sign Language. The world, they say, has over 300 different sign languages. There is definitely some mutual intelligibility because it's visual, but at the same time, it requires separate translations because there's enough difference in what happens. So we have been focused on Brazilian Sign Language, and we're like this close to being done. We were hoping last year to finish all of the filming. It just didn't work out. And then we got the news at the end of last year, our presenters used to live about like 8 hours away, so like let's say San Diego, okay? It would work to kind of connect, and we would bring them, they would spend a week with us and filming. They're moved down to Rio, which is like throw them over, I don't know, New York or something, you know? So it made the logistics a little bit harder in this, but we're going to do it. There's a few weeks still of filming to finish up, but a lot happening, and it's so exciting. The more we interact with ministries and understanding the deaf scenario, we really see that much of the deaf believers are very immature, shallow in their faith and their understanding of the scriptures, because they don't even have access to all the scriptures. There's not a complete Bible translation in Brazilian Sign Language yet. And beyond that, having that access, there's a lot of what they receive is just through translation. It's a second language and not done in a way that communicates clearly with them. So we're super excited because I know God is going to use this powerfully to not only mature His church in understanding what He has done in His grace, but also in reaching and bringing to life, visualizing the gospel for so many people who don't have any access to it. So this makes us, it's exciting, and I know it's a long haul, we're getting there. I have a wonderful team members who are even more involved in this process, and they're persevering through. It's very, very exciting. But one of the ideas I want to bring to you is with sharing the gospel, having the eternal story of redemption, I'm going to liken it to want to be sharing living water. Because one of the next things on our mission statement that it's going to show up here is called in a language that speaks to their hearts. As you guys are very much aware, not everybody in the world speaks English. Unfortunately. Yeah. Incredible. And some of them don't even speak Spanish. And others don't even speak Portuguese or French or Arabic. And go on. So something key, if you want to see this message taken to the nations, is to have it in a language that speaks to their hearts. But one of the things that drives us even in this is saying, Lord, who has access to the living water and who doesn't? And as we move forward in different languages, and especially key languages, a driving factor is saying we want them to have access to what's called the living water. But we run into something I'm going to do first. So a lot of times, it doesn't matter that much if you grab water. And I'm going to grab a bottle of water. And he's already downed his Diet Coke here. If I put this bottle of water here and set it on the table, probably for the next hour, do you think you'd even drink it? Probably not. Why wouldn't he drink the water? He's not thirsty. And there's a lot of, I could be oversimplifying, but the possibility, a lot of times with people presented with the living water, they're like, that's nice. They haven't developed a thirst or a desire. And there's a lot of ways that I see how God works in that. Paul uses this phrase in Colossians. He says, may your conversation be seasoned with salt. What does salt do? Okay, let's change the scenario. We're going to force some salt down his throat. Or you're going to eat some more pieces. Pizza, doesn't pizza make you so thirsty? Man, it makes me so thirsty for like hours afterwards. So you get some salt and you get that, what happens? You feel a necessity for something. It magnifies this desire to quench that. And so I know, like I said, God works in so many different ways. But one avenue, still utilizing media God has put on our hearts, is creation of other productions we call pre-evangelistic. With that simplicity, we could say, of putting some salt, creating a desire, causing them to question what they believe, why they believe that, and what is the foundation of that. And one of the areas we have produced this past year, we almost got it finalized, is a production, if you could read Arabic, and I can't read Arabic, I just know what it says. It's called Sincere Questions. We partnered with a ministry in Lebanon who have worked for years in a Muslim context. That's more of the focus of this series. And they work with us in developing the scripts we kind of follow a main character. And as he goes through different moments and situations in life, the purpose of showing those is to mess with a little bit and cause some questions to come up. Hopefully as a desire in putting salt in their mouth to desire to know more of the truth. Which, if they desire to know the truth, hey, I got something in your language already. That is the living water. So what I'm going to show you here, it's a short 2-minute clip. I love the guys who did the light. I think that helped a lot. It's an 8-episode series. Each video is about 2 minutes long. So I'm going to show you one of them here, just so you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about.
I was born in a certain place and time. I grew up thinking a certain way, believing certain things. It's not a coincidence that my way of seeing the world is very similar to that of my family and my society. Of course, I've always felt like my opinions are my own, but what would I believe if I was born in a completely different family, a different people group? It's hard to imagine that I would believe the exact same things I do now. I have definitely inherited many of my beliefs, but does that make my beliefs true? Every second, there are about 4 babies born around the world, which amounts to about 385,000 per day and a staggering 140 million per year. Each of these children are being raised up according to a particular worldview and being taught vastly different things about truth. They cannot all be right, yet it seems like most people think that their worldview is the one correct worldview, and they interpret any new information they learn according to that worldview. So ultimately, if I don't stray far from the beliefs I was given, can I really claim to be a seeker of truth? Can I seek truth without exploring other worldviews? Is my mind truly open? Am I one of the lucky few who happen to be taught the absolute truth? What if I discover that what I've been following is not coherent? Do I have the courage to admit it, even if I would lose what's valuable to me? Could I dare to disagree with my family? Do I actually care about the truth?
So that kind of gives you a little idea of what we're hoping and with this series in partnership, especially online, to cause them to really question, especially Islam. You're not allowed to question. You just listen, you accept it, and you obey. Period. So that's our heart in producing this series called Sincere Questions. We'll be working with them. But as I mentioned, what's on our hearts is that we want to see this message in a language that speaks to their hearts. And to give you kind of idea of the world and an overview of what's available, I did bring some more water along. So, I know you guys aren't thirsty, don't worry. You do not have to drink this water. Please don't drink this water. But I'm going to say, does anyone here speak English? All right, we got an English speaker here. You speak English. You have multiple churches available to you, right? You have programs on the radio. You got programs on the television. You got programs on the internet. You got apologetic ministries. You got Christian schools. You probably, did you know anyone who went to school who was a believer?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Even has connection at school, family, others, married. You have, I would say, a pretty good opportunity to have access to living water. Anyone here speak Portuguese? Oh, you went to Brazil, yeah?
Yeah, but I know.
Oh, obrigado.
He does Korean.
Okay.
There we go. He does Korean better?
No, I don't.
Well, we'll be our Portuguese speaker.
Tamiga?
Oh, yes. Portuguese. I'll tell you, they also have multiple translations of the Bible. And as a country, on a census, there's over like 60 million people who claim to be evangelical Christians. They have churches. The region where I live along the coast is different from inland. Inland is very sparse in terms of the influence of the gospel. But along the coast, They claim it's about 30% evangelical Christian. I can go into a supermarket in my city and they have praise and worship going over the speakers. That's a pretty interesting experience. It's cool. So that's the influence. It's very much there. There's regions where it's not, but as a language, they have a lot of access to it. So you got 2 bottles, you got a bigger bottle. Here we go. We got, what's this? We're going to call this Arabic. Where's my Arabic speakers? I saw a finger pointing somebody. No. No Arabic speakers? All right. You speak something. Spanish? Well, all you have to say is shukran. That's all I know in Arabic, like thank you. Hey, Arabic has a church. They have various translations of the Bible. They actually, depending on the country, have had development theological questions, training, maturity of the churches. There's massive churches, even in Cairo, that have an influence over the whole region. You know, God is working and moving. There's persecution. There's a lot of countries where it's difficult to get to the bottle. You might risk your life to get to the bottle and drink the water, but it's there. Other languages, like I talked about, we'll call this one Punjabi. They got the bottle, but it's only half full. Man, they have the Bible. There's some churches. But it's rare. It's harder to get to it. It takes more effort. And just as part of the illustration to finish off, who here does a little bit of American Sign Language? It's all some people. Oh, we got in the back. All around.
That one's an interpreter. There you go.
There's an interpreter. Okay, come here, interpreter. Sorry, cameraman. Yeah. Okay. American Sign Language. Wait, come back with the cup. American Sign Language, as far as I know, is the only sign language in the globe, around the world, who has a whole Bible. It's quite well. Other than that, you don't. So if you're deaf, especially in other countries, your possibility of what's available of living water and to access the living water is, man, almost nothing. So this is also what is driving us. How can we help make the living water more accessible to what is happening? And that's why it's been so wonderful to partner with different people in these different languages. One of the stories interesting, speaking of heart languages, where's my Arabic? Arabic, right? We got a story recently of a friend of ours. He used to live in Brazil. He's Brazilian. This guy, I'll admit, he's kind of goofy looking. Hopefully he doesn't watch this. That guy with the big old smile, Junior. He married someone from Germany. They went to Germany, a German. He's been working there in ministry, and he also does chaplaincy work in the hospital. And this, about 2 months ago, maybe it's more than 3, he showed up in the hospital, and they said, you got to come talk to this guy. There was an Iraqi immigrant who went to the hospital, Muslim, Iraqi, who was under surgery. And when he was in surgery, the doctors heard him crying out the name Jesus. Jesus, help me, Jesus. And after he came out, he said he had a vision. I don't exactly remember the details, but very clearly for him, it was Jesus coming and helping him and showing up. He didn't need a video of sincere questions to have a thirst to know the living water. Jesus does a way better job than we could. But this guy was open and wanting to. So our friend Junior, who knows us, knows the ministry, he took Tetelestai in Arabic and has started discipling this guy in Germany. And how cool is that? Have a Muslim Iraqi in Germany connect with a Brazilian who uses the production, walking him through and sharing the living water with him. It's just so cool what God is doing, how He's working. This year, well actually last year, we did an adaptation of Tetelestai in what we call The Journey, or Journey to Tetelestai. We partnered with a ministry here in the U.S. His name is Pastor Sammy Tippett. Some people have heard or not. Wonderful man. He's partnered a lot with people in Brazil, the Baptist National Mission Board. And we partnered with them to produce an adaptation of Tetelestai. We did a whole national evangelistic campaign there in March of last year. Oh, I need my tablet. Which was wonderful results through the lots of different churches. But we also worked with him. What was even more exciting is that he also was like, we need to do this in more languages. And so through his connections, we moved forward to actually do it in Punjabi, that language of more western India, parts of Pakistan. And this past December into January, we partnered with them online, Facebook, different ads, part of the ministry. They were getting the videos out there, trying to get people to watch them and see them through December and the beginning of January. And just about like 2 weeks ago, Pastor Sammy Tippett wrote up kind of an overview of what happened with the partners there that he's worked with. Actually, he's worked for many years in India. He said there was over, here I'll read a couple phrases. Maybe I'll do the microphone, be better. In a remarkable display of God's power to reach hearts across borders, our recent presentation of a journey to Tetelestai in Punjabi had more than 650,000 views throughout Pakistan and India. The response was extraordinary. More than 2,500 people reached out to our dedicated call center, many seeking spiritual guidance and encountering Jesus for the first time. Through these conversations, scores of individuals embraced Jesus as their Lord and Savior, beginning their own journey of faith. And here's a couple of stories. Here's one called Satvinder's Journey. These are from people who actually called into that call center. So the people they actually got to talk to and hear, which is very cool and encouraging. It's called Satvinder's Journey. A devoted family man and father of 3, Satvinder and his wife were deeply religious seekers. When they discovered a journey to Tetelestai on Facebook, something stirred in Satvinder's heart. Each video drew him closer, compelling him to watch the next. Moved by what he experienced, he called our counseling number, sharing how the videos were touching him deeply. For the first time, he encountered Jesus in a profound and personal way. Through the series, Satvinder's spiritual journey led him to give his heart to Christ. We ask for your prayers as he begins his walk with Jesus. There's even a few other stories. There's one of a guy who worked at a toll booth. And through maybe pushing it with ads, somehow he got connected with the videos. And he started watching the videos on his phone as he's like in his downtime, working in a toll booth. I don't know you guys, I think that's like so cool. Because most of us, do you like ever get, you're like, maybe you have like the quick pass on the toll, or you go like, what's the closest tolls even here? I don't know, Dallas? Drive through Dallas area, you got to like avoid roads because we don't want to pay tolls. But a lot of these tolls, you got the people working there, you got to pay them the money. And just imagine this Indian guy on his phone, watching these videos and seeing the gospel presented, starting in Genesis and working your way through till Christ. And encountering Jesus, being firm in his face, understanding, truly the grace of God. So it's so cool of these different stories of what God is doing. The church in Quebec wrote us, out of 7 new baptisms this past year in their church, 4 of them were people who had gone through Tetelestai, who they're unchurched, some almost atheistic, and they were brought in. I'm sure it was the relationship, and they carried through watching Tetelestai, and they came to faith. And so it's so cool. And stories like that, man, they so encourage our hearts. People say, "Oh, you must get stories all the time." It's like, nope. Like, when's the last time you wrote the author of the book that just blessed you? Why didn't you send him an email? No one does that. "Oh man, that movie was so good. I'm so inspired." Well, did you write the production company and thank them? No, we don't do that naturally, right? So anytime we get a little bit of tidbit and information, it's like, thank you, Lord. Thank you. And as you guys can already see, part of our heart, it doesn't matter to have the eternal story of redemption in a language that speaks to their hearts if they can't have access to it. Just putting something on YouTube is not access. It maybe can help, but as God has moved our hearts, we're wanting to partner more and more directly and personally with people and ministries who are on the front lines. And that has been another area of partnerships I talk about, in partnerships for the gospel. It's just really what's happening, it's a whole network of friendships who are wanting Jesus to be known. That's what it is. That's what's going on today. And within Brazil even, we have a partnership with a ministry where they have created inside this whole case, there's a little micro SD card. Older phones, mostly Androids, you can put those in as like an extra memory where you can watch things. Some of the newer phones, not really. But within the remote areas of Brazil, the interior, along the Amazon, the tributaries, there's a lot of people that still have those type of phones. And this is still really relevant. And they distribute through other ministry partners, over 1,000 of these a month are going out. It has Tetelestai in Portuguese. It has the Bible in Portuguese. It has other discipleship material in Portuguese that these people can have access to now in the palm of their hand for them to watch and for them to spread. And it's been awesome. Various stories of indigenous people, other people who live on the tributaries, other people more in the interior regions, being able to have access and say, man, it's so clear now. It was so wonderful to watch that series and putting it together. But in terms of on a platform they can access, one of the stories, kind of finish up here, is my heart, I love the life on life, the friendships, seeing disciples making disciples. But there's moments where God, He uses like these mass media also to be able to encourage people. And one of our partners over the years has been a satellite ministry called Sat7. Some people have heard about it, familiar. They work over North Africa and the Middle East, Christian broadcasting company. And they have worked with us in the past, and they have broadcast Tetelestai in Arabic. It's like, okay, that's cool. There's a possibility of like 25 million people to watch. Okay, well, what happened? Well, by God's grace, a couple from our church happened to be going to Spain, who then had a connection with a pastor, native pastor in Morocco. So, you can imagine, Morocco is almost 100% Muslim, very much against believers, especially foreign believers who want to share the gospel. So they were able to get there, able to get connected with this pastor, the hotel, and you go here and so takes them, gets to his house, they're having supper there, talking with him, hearing how he's doing, sharing their lives, just an encouragement to be there face to face. And part of the conversation, the couple, they said, hey, there's this ministry based at our church in Brazil. And they have produced this wonderful evangelistic series in Arabic. And the pastor said, well, what's it called? And he said, oh, it's called Tetelestai. And the Moroccan pastor looked and said, oh, yeah, we know Tetelestai. We've been watching it. And then he pulls out his notebook, like, hey, these are all the notes how we've been taking as we've watched it and we've been utilizing here within our network of churches in Morocco. You're like, wow, how cool is that? Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, just to see like a little glimpse. Okay, you're using this. People are accessing it even in that way through our partners. And it's just so encouraging to see what God is doing. And I say all that, I guess I'll leave it there. As I said in the beginning, guys, this is a partnership in the gospel. And I'm glad I can share some of the news with you guys. You get excited. God is working. Despite all that you watch on the daily news and despite the focus of what comes through on the Instagrams and the channels you follow, man, God is also working. The dominion of darkness is losing members, we could say this way. People are being transferred from the dominion of darkness to the kingdom of light. And it's happening. It's happening around the globe. And we get to partner together by God's grace. And He's using us in this like cosmic rescue. And isn't it awesome? I hope you're encouraged. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part, for praying, being a part of our lives and our ministry. As was stated, you want more information, our website is lightinaction.org. There, you can access even easier now Tetelestai in English. You can watch it in Portuguese. It has Korean version with Korean to put subtitles. We got Arabic. I don't know any other languages. Maybe you guys speak or even have friends. Definitely we have Spanish. Access there. The other films will be coming soon. Hagar's short film is there. And if you're interested, there's information there for giving, helping out with the project, and seeing what God is doing. But really, I just want to say thank you. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Amen. Afterward, please remember, I have some family pictures I'll put on the table. Please feel free to grab one. If you would like, there's some flyers there too. But questions, right? Is enough time? 2 or 3 minutes, sorry.
You got a question in the back?
Okay, first off, the effort to reshoot the entire thing using people of different ethnicities because that's what people respond better to, incredibly noble thing to do. That's a huge investment and it's going to pay off. That's big. 2 questions on that though. First off, the old footage, do you just kind of like, you're done with that and we stop distributing that and now we switch over to the new stuff because it's actually probably more accurate to the original time? Like what happens to the old stuff?
The biblical scenes are all the same. Everything's reutilized. What just changes is like the face that's there.
Oh, like the narrator.
The narrator.
Different. Okay.
So what really happens, essentially we have 2 versions in English. So if you want to see this quirky Canadian guy speaking English, you can watch this one. If you want to see a really cool looking Brazilian guy speaking English with a British accent, you can watch the new one. So, so we have it in English, but what the core of it wasn't even English, because from this, like the new dubbings and languages are not in the other version. So they're not a duplicity in that way. They're just the 2 English, and from there, this one's in Hausa, this one's in Chinese, this one's in Bengali, this one's in French.
You pick one of the 2 that's going to be more compatible with whichever.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And we work with our partners and kind of offer them, hey, in your context, which one of these do you think would be better to work with?
Are you planning on stopping there, or would you then say, okay, well, actually, if we want to reach this part of Africa, it would be better if we had someone that looks like this to go through and narrate? Because I really have an ongoing project. You can do this indefinitely.
Yeah, and those are conversations we're having. We have some brothers in India who think that we need to put somebody from northern India on the film. So we'll see. Those are definitely conversations as we move forward to see and evaluate that. It's definitely there.
Thank you.
Cool. Great questions.
You briefly mentioned Hagar. Are you starting a new project?
Hagar is, I think I shared it last year, maybe not. It's a short film.
Okay.
20 minutes long, about Hagar. Filmed audio-wise, it's in Portuguese. It's in Arabic with English subtitles, Farsi and Turkish. And it's an excellent film. We just started a partnership right now, again with the National Baptist Mission Board of Brazil, focusing a whole evangelistic campaign focused on the 8th of March. It's the National Women's Day in Brazil. I don't know if it's global, at least Brazil. The 8th of March is a Saturday. And so they're doing a whole movement of every church kind of becomes cinema, where they're going to have women events, a dinner, inviting them, and as part of the program, they're going to be showing Hagar, which focuses, as you see this story of a lady, a woman who was rejected, just used for childbearing. She was abused. She's there all by herself, desolate in the middle of the desert. And who shows up to her? And the angel of the Lord. It was the Lord. And she's the first person in the Bible, an Egyptian slave in the middle of the desert, the first person in the Bible to give a personal name to God. Because she says, wow, and do I see the God who sees me? And that's why Hagar calls God the God who sees. So you can imagine, if you've gone through anything in your life, what a jumping point to be able to minister and say to women and be like, God, God sees you. So we're working together, having these different events. They're planning, churches who want to do it, feeling free, bringing it together. They're planning it, utilizing the film. So in that same way, kind of hopefully that is the salt in the mouth, so that you want to get to know the God who sees you.
Where do you guys get the funding for the different translations in the school in Brazil?
Almost all of it just comes from different churches, different individuals. We've had a couple smaller distribution contracts that there's a little bit of money, but really where it comes from is just, different individuals and churches who've been supporting it. Great question.
Do you have any online information about project?
Boy, that's a tough question. I don't know if she has a website. I'll have to ask her. That's very good. I'll see if she does. She's pretty savvy that way. Good question.
More of a point of contact. By any chance, do you know the Hortons up in Bel Air? Hiring?
No. The last name Hortons?
Yeah. Okay, just curious.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Connection. So.
Excellent. Okay.